Hey everyone, this is Snatch Gaming. I'm Mike, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about the current state of Amiibo. Do you like Amiibo? Do you think Amiibo is stupid? Well, I happen to like them, and I'm not going to go too much into the ones I have. I have a bunch here. Got some cool ones here, but these are the newest ones that I was able to get. And I've got Pac-Man, the Splatoon 3 pack, which I actually don't own the game, but I really like the packaging. I think the figures are some of the nicer ones they've done. And Greninja, which was a little easier to get than I thought, and Silver Mario, which was a bit of an impulse buy. So I was able to get a few, and I won't go, like I said, I won't go too much into, you know, I got this one, I've got that one, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about with Amiibo was just where we are right now with the popularity and some of us would say the insanity behind getting these Amiibos. It's really nuts right now. This is Wave 4, and as you've noticed here, the two that I don't have, I mean I don't have all of them, but the two that I don't have that are pretty sought after are Robin and Lucina from Fire Emblem Awakening. And I really wanted those two because when Amiibo first hit, that first wave with Mario, Bowser, Yoshi, all the normal, you know, classic Nintendo characters, Fire Emblem Awakening was the one game that I was playing at the time. So when they announced Robin and Lucina, I really wanted to get those. I was not able to. And just to kind of put it in perspective how crazy it is right now, I'm pretty much watching the internet like a hawk anytime these go up for pre-order, especially the ones that I'm particularly after personally. So the fact that I wasn't able to get Robin and Lucina is pretty hard to accept, but at the same time, it's almost to be expected these days. Even one wave ago, which was Wave 3, that had, it had Ike, it had Meta Knight, and a bunch of other ones. Even that wave, King Dedede, characters like that, even that wave, you could get certain ones that would flash up for sale for 5-10 minutes if you acted quickly, if you paid attention to Reddit, where a lot of people are providing a lot of great information about Amiibo and when they're available and things like that. If you watch that closely enough, even if you were at work or something like me and you just reloaded it every once in a while, you might catch one or two before or after release that you weren't able to get in the store. Wave 4 just took everything to a whole new level. People were lining up outside of stores on day one, which actually is been going on for a while now, I should say. Wave 3 was actually when that started. 3B, I think I should say, is when that first started. And when that Black Friday type stuff started is when I started to lose interest a little bit, only because I really like the figures, but at the same time, if I have to rearrange my work schedule and stand out in front of a store like it's Black Friday, I think we've gone a little too far, especially when you consider what these things are and what they do. So, for those that don't know too, you can use most of these in Smash Brothers. Something like Splatoon you can use in the Splatoon game, obviously. And they're basically a USB, pretty much, a USB reader. You can scan these and you can pump up your character. Like I could take Pac-Man in Smash Brothers and I could train a Pac-Man using this Amiibo here if I wanted to. So they serve that purpose, but aside from that, that's pretty much all they do. Now, you might be wondering, oh, you're one of those people that keeps them in the box and doesn't take them out. And I wanted to explain that a little bit. The reason I do that is because I want to explain this because I notice a lot of people are kind of saying like, you know, you inbox collectors, I don't understand you. These are meant to be opened and meant to be enjoyed, and I totally get that. They do serve a purpose, even though I think it's kind of a slight purpose, but at the same time they still do serve some sort of purpose. So the majority of people will open them up and use them in Smash Brothers or Splatoon or Hyrule Warriors or what have you. I don't open them for a couple different reasons. Number one, when I was a kid, I think I was in middle school, maybe I was a freshman in high school, they came out with Power of the Force figures for Star Wars. They basically made a new line of Star Wars toys. That was around 1995. And I loved collecting those toys and trying to find all the different ones. I was a Star Wars nut at the time, still am to some degree, but in 1995 I loved anything Star Wars. I soaked it all up. So when they came out with the toys again, I loved collecting them, and you know, anything Star Wars can kind of be construed as a collector's item. So I kept most of them in the package. One or two I took out, put them on my desk or something, but other than that, I collected them. And I think the reason there's a lot of in-box collectors for these is because, number one, I like video games. A lot of other people like video games too. And also, you know, like I said, a lot of us used to collect toys just to collect them. And, you know, these are actually really nice. And I think the biggest, most important point is that there's never been a line of toys featuring video game characters from all these different series. I mean, even just here, you've got Splatoon, you've got Pac-Man, you've got Greninja from Pokemon, you've got Silver Mario. So right there, you've got 4 different franchises that are represented, all in the same product. So I think that's one thing that is really attracting people to these, and including collectors like myself that just like to collect stuff. And I've let one of them breathe. I had an extra Mega Man that I kind of ordered by accident, so I opened that up and I have that on the shelf upstairs. But other than that, I like to keep them in the box. I think they look nice that way. But we're at a point now where the pandemonium is getting to be a little too much for me. And maybe you agree, maybe you don't. Maybe you're still, you know, guns a-blazing, collecting everything that you can. But I'm one of those people, I just want the ones that I want. I don't have to go for a whole set or anything like that. I'll deviate a little bit. For instance, Silver Mario, I kind of purchased that just because I already have Gold Mario, which I know that doesn't really make sense, but when you're grabbing a few things and you have an opportunity, sometimes you have a little bit of an impulse buy. Greninja, I'm not really into Pokemon that much, frankly, but to be honest, Greninja, I really like the packaging and I really like the figure. I just like the colors. That's another reason I have Meta Knight, because I've never encountered Meta Knight. I've played one Kirby game in my entire life, but I like the figure and I like the packaging. The purple is a great contrast to the other ones that I have here. And Greninja's kind of the same way. I like the blue and the pink and the different shade of blue as well. So, you know, you don't have to be a super fan to own certain ones of these. Sometimes they're just attractive to you because you're a collector. You know, the Splatoon one was the same way. I like the colors. I admit that the fact that you could only get the squid guy in this 3-pack here was another reason. But I have to admit, I'm at the point now where I think I might be stalling out. And some people I know are still gung-ho, but this wave was just, I mean, it was a chore. I mean, this wave gave me a headache just to try to get any of these. The only reason I have any of these is because I actually took an early lunch from work and lined up at Toys R Us. I had already hit GameStop and Target, and Target was cleaned out. GameStop, they already had a list outside of which ones were in stock, and they didn't have any that I was waiting on. So I went to Toys R Us. There were about 12 or 15 people in line, and I was at the end of that line, and thankfully they had 30 or 40 Greninjas, and I heard that a lot of Toys R Us's had at least that many. Some of them had 80. I saw one that even had supposedly 100 or 120. So, but the story behind that one too is that, and this is kind of what I'm talking about, is because there were 2 chances to get Greninja until Friday when these all released. One was a pre-order that went up at 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. I think it lasted 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15 or 20, I'm not sure. And then there was one other instance where, there was a date that they set, you could go into the store and get a pre-order ticket, a physical ticket that you could bring to the store. So, those were your only 2 options. Stay up till 3 in the morning, or take a half day and not go into work in the morning to be there early to get a ticket to get one at Toys R Us. So, I was actually glad the way they handled Greninja, because I was frustrated because I thought, man, like, that's a cool figure, I really want it, but they're not giving anyone a chance to get one. The supply is so low. But what they were actually doing is, instead of doing all these pre-orders that last for about 2 minutes because there's a ton of people that are waiting, there's a ton of scalpers that are trying to get as many of these as they can, instead of doing that, they had people go into the store. Which, again, I wasn't thrilled with taking an early lunch or anything like that on Friday, but I would have rather done that, knowing that they would be there and I would have a chance at them, as opposed to just scouring the internet all day and all night, hoping I would happen to be online when the pre-orders went up. So the distribution is improving a little bit. At the same time, the stock is still way too low. Pac-Man here and Silver Mario look like they're going to be pretty easy to get. Pac-Man just because I think he's just a nice, popular character. I wanted him just because he's a classic. You know, you should have a Pac-Man, I think, if you're into these. And the Silver Mario, I think some people bought the Gold Mario and weren't sure why. Maybe myself included, I haven't decided yet. And the Silver Mario, I think some people learned their lesson and thought, I'm buying too many of these. I already have a Gold Mario and in some cases a regular Mario. I don't need a silver one too. So these two seem like they're going to be in good supply. This 3-pack, it's hard to say. I actually had this pre-ordered and canceled it because I figured with the new game being released that these would be in a much bigger supply, and it's kind of inconclusive whether I was correct on that or not, because they sell the Inkling Boy and the Inkling Girl individually, but the 3-packs I thought might be in short supply. So I did end up pulling the trigger on it, but there were still a couple left when I went through the line at Toys R Us. So it remains to be seen how hard that one will be to get. Like I said, I like the packaging and the figures themselves, so I was happy to get a hold of that. I broke the bank on that one, $36, but at any rate, I'm happy with it. I think it looks great, and again, it contrasts these other ones very nicely. But Nintendo, there's been some quotes recently where Nintendo has said, hey, you know, we realize you guys are having trouble getting a hold of these figures. We had no idea that these were going to be this big a deal. So we're making some corrections. We're trying to flood the stores with as many old figures as we can, and to give you guys the supply for, you know, all that time that you spent and weren't able to find the figure that you wanted. And a big problem too is that, like I said, I think the functionality is minimal, but if you are a Smash Brothers player and, for instance, you play Pit a lot, this figure, I was fortunate enough to get this in a trade, but this figure's going anywhere between $50 and $75 right now on average. Maybe you could get him for about $45. And that's a real disappointment for a gamer or even just a kid that likes to use Pit and would like to train their own Pit and can't because they can't get one of these. Now, they are rectifying that. They're not necessarily going to come out with one for, you know, a new restock for every single character. They're going to come out with cards that are going to read the same way that the figures do. So the figures, a lot of them I think they're still going to hold their value, but at the same time, they really need to rectify the situation because they've got a game like Smash Brothers that obviously everyone loves, and they can't train their favorite characters, which is kind of a bummer because you want to give Nintendo your money in that case, and in some instances you can't. So it seems like they've realized that the craze is on and that they've got to start meeting demand. How much so, that remains to be seen. They restocked Ike and Marth and Meta Knight as well, but the only one I saw that it seemed like there was a lot in the store was Meta Knight. Ike and Marth, it seemed like some GameStops got one of each maybe, or a couple of each, and it was pretty much a crapshoot if you happened to walk in and they had an extra one. So there's a lot that they still haven't resupplied, and there's a lot that they still haven't shipped for people that had pre-orders. This Ike is actually from the UK. I got him for about $21, which he's the only one I've paid more than retail price for. But I bit the bullet because I really liked that figure. The Fire Emblem characters seem to have the most detail, or close to it. So I really enjoy those figures, aside from enjoying the games as well. But what they really need to do right now is just start cranking out figures as fast as they can. Don't worry if they're going back a couple of waves, but people are still looking for figures from wave 1. So I'm a little bit worried that they're going to ignore that and just say, okay, we're on wave 4, let's crank out a lot of wave 4 and just make sure that those are in supply. And they're going to forget about wave 1, 2, and 3. Now, that being said, they will have the cards, so if you didn't get your Little Mac or Meta Knight or what have you, you can still use the cards, but I haven't heard anything about a release date for those either. So that's just a little quick State of the Union on Amiibo, at least from my perspective. The supply is just not there, and the next wave, I believe, is going to have Dark Pit, Palutena, who is from Kid Icarus as well, and I believe they may have added 1 or 2 more. But that wave is actually, I believe it's about to come out in Europe and Japan. For some reason, North America is lagging behind on the waves. I'm not really sure why that is. But right now, there's a bit of a lull because there's, like I said, there's 2 figures in Wave 5A, I guess you would call it. They may have added 1 or 2, like I said, but that's really not that many. And I'm kind of interested in Dark Pit just because I like the first Pit figure. But other than that, there's really nothing that sticks out to me, and plus I don't feel like sitting on Reddit all day when I should be working or should be watching a movie or paying attention to something else or having dinner. It's just becoming really not worth it. Now, of course, I don't have Robin and Lucina, so I'm trying to trade for those. I have a Jigglypuff upstairs that I'd like to trade for one of those 2. Whether that rarity will match up, if someone will want to take that trade, I don't know. But that's the thing. I mean, I'm not even a big Smash Brothers player, but I want the figures that I want. I just want to have a chance at them. And they're really doing a poor job of giving people a chance at purchasing the characters they want. It's one of those situations where I want to give them money. There's a lot of people out there that would love to give Nintendo, you know, 25, 50, maybe $100 extra than they've already given for some of these figures, and they can't. And no one wants to buy them on eBay. I mean, if you're tempted, you really shouldn't, just because don't give the scalpers their day. You know, don't give them any extra money and any extra incentive to get any. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the scalpers aren't even really affecting things as much as people might think. I think people are just nuts for these figures. So, do you like Amiibo? Do you not really care for it? Do you think it's stupid, or do you think it's for kids? You know, if you are into Amiibo, are you still going to keep going, or are you like me? Are you getting kind of burnt out? So let me know in the comments and everything. This is Snatch Gaming. I'm Mike, and I'll see you guys next time.